So we have a treat in this episode. A couple weeks ago, Sylvan and I recorded our episode, Love Like Blood, and we had a wonderful conversation. And we put it in the books and we moved on. And then something interesting happened, didn't it, Sylvan?
It did.
Um,
I am the first to admit I am a pain in the ass music fan, and I overstep boundaries constantly. And in that spirit of Sylvan doesn't know when to not make a jerk of herself, I reached out to Kenny Neal, who I've been a fan of, and I have seen. In fact, I almost handed him a Perfectly Good Podcast card at one point at a show when he was playing up here in Vermont. But I reached out to him on Facebook. We happen to have a couple of musician friends in common and asked, hey, I really love your cover of Love Like Blood, and I do this podcast. Would you consider coming and joining us on Zoom for a while and talking about the song and whatever is going on in your music life? Oh my God, he said yes.
so today we're set to record two other songs, and Kenny jumped on and we talked 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah, I would say. And he names drops, but my God, does he earn it? And these are
Yeah.
some really cool names that we
Yeah.
can't believe that we're hearing someone who has shared
Yeah.
experiences with some of these people. Yeah.
We're still debating on whether we're going to put this as a separate episode or just a massive Love Like Blood episode where his interview and then our discussion of the song. But gosh, this was a treat. You guys are going to love this interview.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm.
And it's important that I reached out to Kenny because of a song that is now decades old, but he's still out there doing it. And what a blessing it is to be a fan of John Hyatt, which is the gateway to all these other great musicians that we're constantly talking about the covers. So definitely go out and check out Kenny Neal's full catalog if you haven't already.
Yeah, I will. I'll probably pull a clip. He mentioned a song in one of them about letting life flow,
Mm,
and it let life flow, and it really sit in today's very difficult times. I thought it was really well done. So,
absolutely.
yeah. So, anyway, that's what's going on. That's why you're going to hear this interview and why we didn't have him break down the lyrics because one, we didn't want to take that much of his time. And two, we had already broken down the song. This will be a little bonus. Well done, Sylvan. Well
Yeah.
done.
And I can hear Jamie already. Yes, this totally would have earned many bonus points, but the ratings were in the books.
Yeah, the ratings were in the book. So that's a good idea. We can always go back. So here we go. All right. We say every episode, have a little faith. And Sylvan, that's all you did. You just had a little faith that maybe this will work.
I did. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to a musical hero, Jesse.
Yeah, it's great. All right. Be safe, be kind. We'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Perfectly Good Podcast, the only podcast on the internet that is counting down every John Hyatt song in alphabetical order. Sylvan Groth and I are always having fun, but I got to tell you, today we're like over the moon. And I'm going to turn it over to my sisters in all things Hyatt to introduce our very special guest.
It doesn't get more special than this. We have been very lucky to every once in a while have a musician who's covered a John Hyatt song, but this is beyond. We are talking to a multiple award winning legend, really. I'm going to just go ahead and peel back the curtain. Kenny Neal, who has so many blues credentials, inducted into the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame. As our listeners know, Jesse and I both have Louisiana roots, so that's even more special. Blues Music Award for Contemporary Blues Artist of the Year 2019, Critics Poll Blues Award winner, Best Contemporary Blues Album of the Year, going back to 2011, Blues Award winner for Song of the Year in 2009, and it just goes on and back. WC Handy Blues Award for Acoustic Blues Album in 2005. And
Sylvan,
really,
take a
yeah,
breath.
I know, but also one of the covers on a album that I'm often talking about, Rolling into Memphis, which is why we took a huge risk and reached out to Mr. Neal and asked if he would come along and talk a little bit about his own music and specifically the song Love Like Blood that he made a beautiful stamp on for that album. And Kenny, please say hello to our listeners and talk about what maybe you're doing lately in terms of blues music and your career.
Well, thank y'all so much for contacting me. And it's just so happened is during the same time I'm going to be up your way soon. I'm going to be
Yay!
up in that area starting the 9th of July. And I'll be going through. But all the listeners out there, I'd like to thank y'all for supporting what we do in the blues. And it's all good. I'm down here in Baton Rouge. I was born in New Orleans as well, but I was raised up in Baton Rouge. And
Nice.
I'm the eldest of 10. My dad, his name was Rayful Neal, and my mom was Shirley Neal. But my dad had a band back in the 50s. He started his band, and he had a guy in his band by the name of Buddy Guy as a guitar player.
Hmm.
And,
I
and
Might have heard
yeah,
that guy. Yeah.
yeah. And Buddy is about 25, 30 minutes up the road from Baton Rouge, maybe 45 or 50, maybe. He's not that far. He come from a little town just out of near Marksville, Louisiana. And so he and my dad got together and played. So I grew up in a household of music around Buddy and Lazy Lester and all the great artists that was coming around my dad, but I didn't know they was great. They was just my dad friends.
Yeah.
So I grew up and I'm carrying the torch and passing it at the same time now since I've got older.
Yeah, were you saying that the next generation coming up after you might have a part on some of the music you're working on?
They sure will. But I just wrote a song a couple of nights ago that I'm so glad that the blues is going to still be around.
We need it.
Yeah. And the younger generation now, I'm so proud of them because they're picking it up and they're deep into it. And that's a good thing. I lived in my last place I lived was Palo Alto, California. And I decided to give up the Silicon Valley for the Silicon Swamps and come back home. And I put a studio here in one of my houses that I bought when I first started being a blues artist. I didn't think I would ever own a house, and so I'm back in my original house, but it's just for musicians. I have a studio here, sleeping quarters, and people from all over the country stop by or they come in, and I produce their music for them.
I was going
And
to say, how
I
much
just
of a waiting list do you have for people who want your help
Oh
in your
yeah,
studio?
they call me all the time, and I make it affordable because I just want to help give back. Because I remember starting out on my career, so many folks helped me, and you just don't forget about things like that. So I did this to give back.
That's lovely.
It is.
Yeah.
Did growing up around it, but did you know that's what you wanted to do very early?
Oh man, did I know I wanted to do it? I When I was 6, 7 years old, my dad used to take me out to the little Saturday matinees. And I would be sitting in the car because I couldn't go in these little juke joints and hang out. So
Right.
he would get a setter to set with me, and when it was my turn to come on stage, they'll take me out the car, and man, I just couldn't wait to get on stage and do my dancing and singing. And then when it was all over with, I'll go around to the table and people would pinch me on the jaw and say, "Oh, you're so cute. Put this money in your pocket." And I'll go home with more money than my dad band.
That's awesome.
I go, "Yeah, this is what I want to do." No, but yeah, that's the way I started out. I knew from a kid that I really wanted to go play music. And my younger brothers, when we grew up, we used to pretend we would have the equipment because we always had equipment on around the house. So we would set up the band. We just little kids now, but we set up the drums, guitar, bass, and we'll have that in the living room. And on the porch, we would set some chairs out, and we would sit in the chairs like we was in a bus or a van. And we have a driver, and we'll be saying like, "Okay, we're going to Chicago," and we would sit there and pretend we was going to Chicago, and then we'd get off out of the chairs like we're getting off the bus and going to the house and start doing the concert, pretending we was playing in Chicago, New York.
So a
And
lot of
it
kids
came,
play like that, but then it doesn't come out to be true later.
what it came out to be true for me.
That's awesome.
And it's funny when I think about it because we was just pretending then.
Do you, why, this is deep, but why do you think blues continues to be such an important part of a musical, so many people's musical soul and the musical character?
Because we're all human beings and we all have the same up and downs, trials and tribulations. We go through changes in life and we all do that and we can relate. So when I just re-released a song that I did in 2004 or 2005 called Let Life Flow.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Just when you think you got it all figured out, here comes something you never dreamed about. Life is so unpredictable, y'all. That's the way it is. Get a little hard to bear sometimes. Things out of nowhere to blow your mind. But one thing I know for sure, y'all. Hey, y'all. Tell me, you know what? You got to let life flow. You got to let life flow. One minute you're up, the next minute you're down. You can't stay there. Keep your feet on the ground. Life is so unpredictable, y'all. The way it is. It get a little hard to bear sometimes. Things out of nowhere to blow your mind. But one thing I know for sure. Hey, y'all, come and go. We got to let life flow. We got to let life flow.
Okay.
And I re-released it because of that question you asked me. It's like the lyrics go, just when you think you got it all figured out, here comes something you never dreamed about. Life is so unpredictable. That's just the way it is. But one thing I know for sure, I got to let life flow. You got to keep going, keep moving. So I think why the blues is so accepted and people love it is that they can relate to it.
I think
Uh,
so.
Yeah,
Th-
that's one of the reasons why we can keep the blues alive because they can relate to what we're singing about.
Yeah, there's that
So I have a
phrase.
question.
Go ahead, Sylvan.
The blues is for everybody, certainly, but I think some people are meant to listen to the blues, and then there are people like yourself who sing it, perform it. And when did you know that you had that talent of expression, that it wasn't just something that you'd be on the sidelines, that you had it in you to express and let out?
Probably when my grandmothers used to tell me, "Oh, this is my little Hollywood baby here." They told me I was going to go to Hollywood when I was a kid
Really?
because yeah, every time somebody would come home to visit, they would call me out of the backyard from playing with my little brothers and say, "Sing that song for them. Do this song." And they always encouraged me. And I wish my grandmother was alive because I went to Broadway. I had a lead role on Broadway.
I'm
So
sorry I didn't mention that in our
she didn't
intro.
say
Yeah.
she didn't say Broadway, but she said Hollywood, so that was close enough.
Yeah. And when did the
But
guitar get into your hands?
I don't remember.
Really?
It is one
I
of those
just
things.
I grew up around guitars and drums and bass and equipment, and I don't remember learning how to play. Just I've been there. I just grew up in it. It
I
was
I
something that I thought was part of life.
I make the joke when I have someone on my podcast that's from New Jersey and we're talking about Bruce Springsteen. And I'll say, asking you when you realized Bruce Springsteen's music is like asking someone when did you realize your parents used Tide washing detergent. It's just always
Yeah,
been there, right? And
it's always been there, man.
yeah,
I couldn't even tell you when I started to pick up a guitar. Now I've been told a lot of times not to mess with the guys' instruments in
yeah,
my dad's car in the mornings, but we did just the opposite.
yeah.
Oh,
That couldn't keep away. Is it
Yeah.
is the guitar the instrument that speaks to you the most?
No.
No?
really?
Whatever instrument and song that I'm doing at that particular time, I'm in the moment. So
Really?
it speaks to me when I'm on the guitar, but when I'm
Yeah.
on the harmonica is talking to me as well. When I'm playing the lap steel, I'm in the moment. So I couldn't just give it all to the guitar.
Yeah. Life without you on the harp would be incomplete, I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I learned something after I went to Broadway because my coach, Miss Novella Nelson, she's an actor, Broadway, did a bunch of Broadway stuff. And she used to always tell me, because she wanted me to feel comfortable because I was out of my zone on Broadway, she would
Hmm.
always tell me, trust the moment, trust the moment. And that's what you got to do. Trust the moment and go with the flow.
That's applicable beyond Broadway, I'd say, even if you're
Yeah,
never going to end up there. Yeah.
that's right.
How did you end up getting the gig on Broadway?
I lived in Toronto, Canada before I moved back to Baton Rouge. And then I went from back home to California. So I was in Toronto
Yeah.
and I came back home and decided to start writing songs and looking for a record deal. I would buy an album just to get the address off the back of the album so I can send my demo in. Yeah.
That's
I'll go in
great.
there and purchase the album and and the first thing I do, I look for the address of the record company and I would send my demos out. But it was a guy by the name of Bob Greenlee down in Orlando, Florida. He used to play for the Miami Dolphins and they was very wealthy. His grandfather invented the drill bit for oil.
Hmm.
Really?
Yeah, and you could still get the Greenlee bits today, I think. But and he was playing for the Miami Dolphins, and he said, "Hey, man, I got all this money. I'm so wealthy. Why I'm getting kicked around this football field for what?" And he loved the blues, and he's a great musician, and so he started his own studio and record company called King Snake Records. And at that time, I was still searching, and I sent one of my 45 records down to Tampa, Florida. And Bob was listening to the radio and he called in and wanted to know who was this guy you just played. And it was my record. It was one of the songs that my dad wrote. I just re recorded it. And he
Wow.
came to Baton Rouge to find me and we connected. I flew back to Florida about 3 weeks later and we just became so close. And we started making music and writing and we put it out under our own label, King Snake Records, and we was doing so good across the country. Alligator Records heard it and wanted to get involved, and so we wasn't too advanced with our company, and he thought it was a good idea to go ahead and lease this album to Alligator Records.
Okay.
And so I got a second chance at the first album. It was called Bio on the Bayou, and when we leased it we went to Alligator Records, and then they renamed it Big News from Baton Rouge. So that record went good. I did another album. It was going great. About the third album in, I'm down in Florida, walked in the office, and Bob said, "Hey, you just got a call from New York. They want you to come and read for a part for a Broadway show. Tosh Mahal just recommend you."
Oh, wow.
And I go,
Wow.
"Man, a Broadway show, that's not what I do." I was really nervous. I didn't know anything about acting.
But if Taj thinks you can do it, then
Yeah, he
obviously you
thought
have
I
to
could do
try.
it. So I fly up to New York, Lincoln Center, go in, read, come back out. I told my manager, Bob, my friend, I say, "Hey, it was a disaster, man. We might as well go see Albert King tonight. He's playing at the Blue Note." So that's what we did.
Nice.
And the next morning we flew back, and I'm just knowing that they don't want me because I had no experience. 2 weeks later, I get a call and say, "Congratulations, you got the part."
Amazing.
Wow.
And so I had to shut it down with the blues, go to New York, get set up, and go through 3 months of intensive coaching training. And I ended up on Broadway. I did a lot of music in the Broadway show, a lot of acting because I was one of the lead roles.
Yeah.
And so I got the hang of it, and I took the ball and I ran with it. And I had a great time on Broadway. And we had some of the actors that was very well known by me being a blues artist. I didn't know them
Right.
at the time. My girlfriend knew them because she would be hunching me in the side going, "Oh, that's James Earl Jones' father. That's blah, blah, blah. This is the lady played on Good Times." And I'm like, I don't know these people. So by me not knowing made me more confidence in myself. I didn't
Hmm.
feel threatened by them. But
Then
the thing that got me is when it was getting ready to close, everybody was crying and real sad. And I was probably the most happiest person in that theater when it was time to get rid of it, to close the show.
because
Because
you
I was like,
had,
I can get back to my music, man. I can get back to,
Like
and
this is a fun experience, but this is not where my heart is.
my heart wasn't there. And I got back into touring right after the Broadway show. They was ready to put me back on the road. And I was headed to Europe. Uh, so I flew from New Orleans to New York. When I got to New York, I called one of my friends who was on the Broadway in the Broadway show with me, and she said, "Oh, hi, Kenny. It's good to hear from you." She said, "Congratulations." I say, "For what?" She said, "Today in New York Times came out. You won Best Newcomer of the Year, Theater World Award." I couldn't
Wow.
believe it. I couldn't believe it. That was my coach I called. It
yeah.
wasn't
Hmm.
one of the actors, it was the coach.
Yeah.
I went to Europe. I flew back. And when I got back to New York, that was during the time of the ceremony for the awards. And I took her as my guest.
Oh.
Sweet.
And I went there with my coach and accepted the award, which I still don't
Nice.
know how that happened, but it did.
It-
Just born with it on all fronts.
It
yeah.
was just fun. And then when I found out that how it go, because I didn't get bored because I figured out how to deliver my line every night a different way.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
wow.
I had fun. I had so much fun with it. I would throw some of my actors off because
I was
I
just going to
might,
say, how did the rest of the cast like you mixing it up every night?
they didn't, they go, "Man, you threw me off last night. I didn't expect you to come at me, even though you can't ad lib, but you can have fun delivering the line."
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
And
I can see
so,
that.
so I had a great time.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned going to Europe. I hear often the difference between European venues, shows, and American audiences. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
A lot of the musicians say, "Man, they accept the blues. They accept us much better in Europe, and they love it over there." But man, it's not like that for me.
Okay.
I just played a couple of nights ago at Morgan Freeman Place in Biloxi, Mississippi, and it was packed and people loved it. All over the states I go, I have a great time as well. People love it. And I think it's the way you deliver it. But I think I understand some of the artists don't get a lot of work in the states like they
Okay.
would love to have. And they can get tons of work in Europe.
Okay.
So I think that's why they say, oh, they accept us much better in Europe. But here in the States, I have just as good a time as I do when I'm in Europe.
And do you
Interesting.
think Europeans are just more into live music in general, or is there a curiosity about American blues that draws audiences over there?
It's more about the history and the blues, and they go and research. They do a
Hmm.
lot of research, and they come out with a different attitude about who they're going to see because they didn't already research me. They know my history. You know, they just coming out to have a good time and hope the
Right.
band is good.
Yeah.
So I understand where some of the musicians say that, but I have a great time everywhere I play.
So, can you remember when you discovered John and what about his music spoke to you?
I knew about his songwriting and I knew he was doing a lot of stuff over in Nashville, but
Yes.
I really hadn't met him or listened to him a lot. And when Randy brought this song to me for Telart,
Yeah.
I was hesitant about it because I go, oh man, it was almost like the Broadway show.
Yeah.
Oh, really? In what
Yeah,
way?
because in a way that it wasn't my 145 or my bluesy style that I was used to doing. And then when I started listening to the lyrics, and then I heard the music that was going to be with it, I started really feeling the song deep down in my heart. The lyrics spoke to me. And then I got into it. I listened to it last night
Yeah.
and just to refreshing myself on it. And it's real good, man. He's a great writer.
We
Guy, he
certainly
can
agree with
deliver.
that.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
he can definitely deliver. And
Yeah.
so I was glad I did it because I was around there trying to check out more of his stuff. Go, let me look into him and check him out. But yes,
Do
I
you
tip my hat off to him.
do you know why they brought that particular song to you? Or obviously it
No,
worked.
John, he just thought that I could probably deliver this song. He thought that was the song for me to approach.
Cool. And I was very curious where this is an album where there was a band that was set and doing the backup for many different singers. I imagine that's different than how you usually work, that,
Yeah,
you're dropping in on something.
a lot of these guys was from Hall and Oak group, and they had a different feel. But when we got in the studio, it all came together. We came together. We started to jail. And then I started
Oh.
feeling more of a spiritual feeling singing the song than just trying to sing it out. I started to feel what I was saying. And then that's what made me deliver it different.
So did that come about through the rehearsal process, or was the tape rolling and you just found it in the moment?
The tape was rolling and I just jumped into it. It changed the whole vibe for me.
Wow.
And you can hear it more toward the middle of the song,
Yeah. You open
you
up
know?
and it just,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I opened up on it and it worked.
I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I love your version. And the one of the things the lyrics love for me though is blood is so important. It's the life source. And the idea of your love is like blood to me. It is
yeah.
needed that much.
That is
Um,
pretty close.
yeah,
You got to be close.
yeah. Other thoughts that come to mind? I think it's interesting at first you were like, I'm not sure if this is it. Other thoughts about the recording or stories?
Like I said, I was hesitant at first
Yeah.
when I first got there, but then once we start getting into it, my whole vibe changed.
Yeah.
And that's because I was open to it. I was
Mhm.
open. I started opening up, and I go, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I see where we're coming from. Now let me put a little bit of this spice from Louisiana in it, you
Absolutely. Because
know. And so I just added my spices to it.
it is a very sweet song, almost to the
Yeah,
point where we go through every John Hyatt song, and he usually has some kind of irony or tongue in cheek somewhere along the line. But this is a rare one that it's pretty much just a love song that he's
yeah,
being, I think, it's sincere through the whole way. But that spice that you were talking about, I would call it a heat that you bring,
yeah,
works very well
yeah,
with that sweetness.
And,
yeah.
and when you're choosing to cover a song versus one of your own, is there anything specific you like to find? What you look for?
I have to look for the meaning of the song.
Yeah.
If it really means something, like my friend Willie Nelson, when I did the Bloodline album, which I was nominated a Grammy for that one. And I was
Yes.
writing all of these songs and thinking about a lot of the older black artists that paved the way and did great songs. And I was going to choose one of them. But then I thought about Willie Nelson, that's my boy, man.
Yeah.
He,
He can write
and
a pop
so
song, yeah.
Yeah.
I did. It's funny how time slips away.
Oh, nice.
And I covered that tune and I sent it back to him. I used some of his musicians on that album as well.
Oh, no.
But when I sent it to him, I got thumbs up.
I That's one of my all-time favorite songs, actually. I
Oh
love
yeah,
that.
I
Yeah.
love doing that song every night. I do that song.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I do. I think I do it for myself. Yeah,
You continue to tour, obviously.
yeah.
What?
I'm flying out in the morning to Salt Lake City in the morning. I headline the Salt Lake City Blues Fest tomorrow night, Friday night.
Nice.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. And how often do you stay on the road?
not like I used to. I go out and do the festivals and fly back in, and I fly out. I remember the days when I'm turning 68 this year.
Okay.
I decided to not do the road thing as much as I used to. So I'll fly out, fly back home, and do maybe 4 or 5 days, and then come back
Yeah.
and take a break. And and in the studio, I just don't want to beat myself up and down the road like I used to. I used to
Yeah.
do 270 dates a year,
Sure.
and I used to always try to beat Mr. BB King. He was my biggest challenge.
That
And
sounds a little masochistic.
Yeah.
yeah, every time I go to him, I say, BB, I did 260 dates this year. He go, I got your whip, son. I did 275. I
Oh.
I could never beat him out, man. He would
Mhm.
always kick my butt every time. And he
That's
was one of my idols.
that's beautiful. That's really beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, Sylvan, other questions?
Oh, I could just talk the blues. And one of the things I always say with Jesse is that we're not musicians. So when we get to talk to a musician, it's like literally talking to a wizard. It's like, how do you do it? How do you take these inanimate objects and create magic with them? I think mostly I'd be really interested in like where you would want to go from here. Is there an audience that you still hope to reach? Is there a type of song that you think you want to stretch to try? Or what would Kenny Neal's ideal 2030 look like?
Just to be here where I'm at now in this place and to help younger musicians and give them a chance to go out and explore. And that's
Hmm.
what I do. I've sit back in the captain's seat here and produce them, and I'm doing it now. And I can help them and just teach them on different styles of music, or because blues, if you start going back from the 20s and the 30s up until now, it's just changed so much over the years. But I understand it, and I can sit down and pick my guitar and play something from the 30s. So I want to share that that information with the next generation. And that's what I see. It's not like I really want to try a different style of music because I done pretty well went at all of it. I'm getting ready to go back after finish this, go back in the studio and try to make magic now. And the song that I'm doing now is called Raise a Little Hell in Heaven.
Oh,
Nice.
I love the irony that is just such a soul part of the blues. Yeah, going all the way back
Yeah.
to Robert
Yeah.
Johnson.
So I want to pass that on, but I'm still going to be making music. It's like yesterday, I probably covered, I probably did maybe 3 or 4 songs.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like you say, magic. It was just once I started singing and playing the harmonica to my tracks, it become fun. It's not work to me. And it's like, it talks to you. So I don't have to figure out what I need to do next because it's going to tell me
Right.
as I go. And I can't sit down and write lyrics. I have to listen to the tracks, and the tracks tell me what the song should be.
That's fascinating. Yeah. And so could you tell us maybe what was the biggest or an example of when you had that music and waiting for the lyrics to come, a surprise that maybe happened? Or how does the songwriting process work as the words evolve?
I'm like, for myself and my brains, I'll listen to a track that I recorded. And I don't know why I've been like that all my life. I'll do a track, I'll do a groove, I'll put a bridge in the song, and I'll get a melody going in my head. And then I'll play that track for about maybe 40 seconds, and then I'll play it back again. And I'm like, when a computer is running slow and you have to wait on it,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for my brains to tell me, okay, what it is, what is it? And then it might say, oh, this is Bloodline. This is Hoodoo Moon or New Orleans. They talk to me. For some reason, it comes to me. And when I get that hook, then I start writing from the hook.
Cool.
And that's like magic again to me, because I don't know where it's coming from, but that's how I work.
Yeah, it sounds like you just get out of your own way. There's no trickery or
Yeah.
formula.
And let it happen. Yeah. Let it happen. And it's been like that, so I don't change it. I never change the concept.
I think it sounds like that I love the passion and the joy. And I also love that you are giving back, that you're letting people see and helping the next generation find their voice and let them go, right?
Yeah. And that's so good for me. I get a joy out of giving back and
Yeah.
helping the younger kids.
Yeah.
I'm going to plug my phone up because I think I'm getting ready to lose you.
That's okay. And
Oh,
we're about to wrap you up. What else do
yeah.
we need?
Okay, I just don't.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so
Okay.
Kenny,
much.
this was such
And
a joy. Anytime you need to promote something, let us know. We appreciate you.
Will
I'm in
do.
Dallas, Texas, and so I will keep an eye out when you're going to be near me so I can go and give you a hug in person.
Okay, please do. And thank y'all so much for the interview.
oh,
Oh,
thank
thank you,
you.
Kenny. Appreciate
Yeah.
you.
Thank
You
you for
go
keeping
enjoy
the
the
blues
rest of your night.
alive.
Travel
All
safe.
right.
Bye-bye.
Okay, take care. All the
Bye.
best.
All the best
Bye-bye.
to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.